Okay, good morning. Good morning, and welcome to the second week of our series that we've got going on, which is this idea of the 7 gifts that give us everything, which is inspired by the book by Derek Rydall, The Abundance Project. How many of you have actually gotten this book? Yeah. Oh, yeah, great. It's good, isn't it? Yeah. So we started this whole series by comparing knots in a garden hose that's blocking off the flow of water from getting through to patterns in our consciousness that's blocking the natural flow of abundant life energy, right? So we started there and we talked about how when we want to increase the experience of abundance in any area of our lives, that we don't go to try to turn on the spigot more, like try to turn on more of the flow, because it's already there. It's coming from the infinite universal source, and it is flowing through us ceaselessly, abundantly at all times. But instead, we want to find and release the knots within us that are blocking off the flow. And so these 7 strategies are ways that can help us, first of all, locate and then give us the tools to release these kind of knots within us so that that flow can come through and as us unimpeded. Right? So, with all of this, from last week and moving forward, what we're really doing is we're cleaning out anything within us that might, sabotage our experience of that highest spiritual awareness within us. So, if we just go for the highest spiritual awareness, if we just focus on enlightenment, and yet we are ignoring, subconscious patterns and shadows within us that are keeping us stuck, we're doing what some refer to as a spiritual bypass. And our spiritual growth is not supported. That high spiritual awareness is not supported and not sustained. So, yes, we want to go for that high spiritual realization, absolutely. But at the same time, we want to work on all levels. We want to clean up all levels, get all of us, in alignment with this high spiritual awareness. All teachers have taught this before. This is not anything new. It's good to remind ourselves. Rumi actually put it really beautifully, and I think we have that up there. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. So we can also use the word life energy. We could use the word joy. We could use the word abundance with love, all of that. So today we're going to work on the physical level. We are going to look at our physical environment and see where there may be blockages in the flow of good energy through our homes, through our offices, through our garages, through our cars. I'm talking about clutter, right? Physical clutter. Those things that no longer serve a purpose that we don't need anymore, and yet we're still holding on to them, right? We can't seem to let it go. Whether it's, we're saying to ourselves, well, you know what, let me just, because maybe someday I'll need this. Oh, I got this here. But what happens is that you never need it, but when you do, you forgot you have it because it's stuffed so far back in a drawer somewhere. You forgot it's there, so you go buy another one. Anyone? right? Or maybe it's gifts that people have given you, thank you, and yet you don't want to pass it on because you don't want to offend them, right? Sometimes those people are not even in your life anymore, but you're still hanging on. Maybe it's clothes that ever hopeful you're going to get back to that size again. And if you do, it'll probably be out of style, right? Or it could be things that you're kind of ashamed to admit that you bought on impulse. Oh, it looks so cool. That thing looks so cool. And the pictures on Instagram, oh man, I got to have that. And then it comes and you go, okay, this is cool. What do I do with it? And then so it goes up back somewhere, and you don't want to look at it because you don't want to remind yourself that you fell for the advertising. So for me, it's like supplements. You see the ads and the testimonials. It does everything from creating this great gut biome to making your complexion dewy and young and turning on the genius within your brain. And you're like, yeah, how much money do you want? Yes, here, take my money. I want this thing. And then it comes, and then I try it, and guess what? There is no miracle pill, right? So it goes back, way back into I don't want to look at it, right? Because I don't want to admit to myself that I am that gullible. So whatever it is, we need to start taking a look at it. And here's why this is so important. When we set our intention to change, to grow, to evolve, but yet we're keeping everything in our mental and physical environment the same, then we are creating this disconnect. Not only are we, the flow of good energy is restricted, but it kind of gets stuck in weird places, frankly. So the question that we want to ask ourselves ultimately is, what am I holding on to really? What am I holding on to really? And what we find is that it's not just clutter. It's not just stuff that we haven't gotten around to giving away or, letting go of. A lot of the times the stuff represents things that maybe we were hopeful for, but never materialized, like the benefits of the supplements, or maybe it's a project that you had, a dollhouse that you were planning to put together and just like never got made, or a quilt that you never finished, or the bike in the garage that never got repaired. And so we hold on to it because it represents things within us that we don't always like about ourselves. Like, I'm gullible, or I often don't finish what I started. And so Rydall says in his book, this stuck energy in the form of our unnecessary stuff is old emotional patterns, self-concepts, or beliefs about life that have become coagulated in the form of material things. Our stuff is literally an old story that keeps playing itself out like the stage set and props of a production that has since closed, yet we're still standing there reciting our lines to an empty theater. Pretty harsh. Pretty harsh, right? Now, I part ways with him when it comes to like memorabilia. Things that have sentimental value, pictures of loved ones and, friends. I wouldn't throw that out. But here's the test you can do with that. If it's really that important, if it puts a smile on your face, or it opens your heart then take it out and put it, somewhere where you can see it all the time, where you can have that connection. It doesn't do any good in a box in the attic or a storage. So you kind of want to go through it and see, okay, what is the best example of this? What is the best thing? We can also digitize a lot of photos these days. It makes it easier to share on social media, digitizing. But this idea of, taking things that are really special and honoring them, particularly photos of loved ones. The Mexican culture has a beautiful way of honoring. Dia de los Muertos is coming up next weekend. And, it's a whole celebration of weekend, and they put up the photos and memorabilia, things that were important to that person, and create this altar, this festive shrine, and spend time with that, feeling the connection with that person. So that's what I'm talking about. If it's that important, if it's that, touching of our heart, we want to treat it a little differently. So let's say we have boxes and boxes stored away of our children's art projects from 25 years ago, right? It was so cute. I gotta hold on to. Look at that. I gotta hold on to that. And I know when we were downsizing, we were moving, we had to go through. And again, keep the best examples, right? Take a sample of the best stuff, and then just keep that. And then, okay, letting that stuff go. I'm gonna let it go, because what I'm doing is clearing out the energy, right? This whole thing is about clearing out the energy and only keeping what sparks joy. Remember Marie Kondo? How many of you have seen those videos with Marie Kondo? Yeah, she knows what she's talking about, right? She's got it going on. And really, if you follow her, what she's suggesting, you're going to create some magical transformation in the flow of energy in your home. And you'll be able to find things. And you'll be able to fit things. And you won't have to pay exorbitant amounts of money for a storage space. Do you know the storage space industry? $44 billion industry. This is how we can't let go of our stuff. And there are over 2 billion square feet of storage space in the U.S. I'm ashamed to say we have one, but we have a plan, right? We have a plan. We're going to go through that. Also, when we donate the clothes that we, no longer need, we bless other people. We bless others. I love this whole movement of vintage and resale. Some people, a lot of young people, they buy only resale. What a beautiful way to, be eco-friendly and sustainable. Yeah. Yeah, and I also heard, a little birdie told me, that the women's group might host this jewelry swap soon. Right, I know I have some pieces I could. Who would participate in a jewelry swap? Yeah, okay, yeah. So, that's it. When we can release this stuff, it frees up the energy that wants to move through us, and then we can then grow and evolve. We can continue our evolution, and we're opening to possibilities. Possibilities. And the possibilities are clear now because we can see them. There's no more junk in the way. We can see those possibilities. Now, Rydall does warn us that when we go through this process of declutter, of looking at and going through the stuff we've been holding on to for a long time, that it's likely to bring up stuff. It's likely to bring up emotions. Some sadness, maybe, some grief, because it might represent things that, again, we were hopeful for but never came about, dreams that have kind of fallen through, opportunities that were lost. And so we want to be with that and be present to it and work through it. He says that's why we're holding on to it in the first place, because we can't face the feelings. So we want to be present to it, face it, and remember that this is a healing process. We're in a healing process, and we are allowing that vibrant life energy to reignite and flow unimpeded in our lives. That's the whole purpose of this. So I remember when I finally had to face getting rid of a whole inventory of gift booklets that I created with a partner when we had a business. We had this business to create these coupon gift booklets for new moms. And they were adorable. And we had a deal on the table from Target, a contract. And so we thought, well, we better go ahead and order lots of inventory so we can fill this order. And so all of these boxes came from China, and here they were delivered to our garage. Stacks of these boxes, my garage and her garage, I think we split them up. And I won't go into detail, but the deal fell through. And so here we were, stuck with these boxes and boxes of this inventory. Now, we did sell to baby boutiques like across the country, and I used them in other ways and made baskets and stuff like that, but not on that scale, right? But I kept it there thinking, well, if a big box store like Target takes it, wants it for a minute, maybe another one, and so we kept, trying to promote it and trying to make that happen. Well, 2 years passed, and I knew that it wasn't fair to keep it in the garage, so rented a storage space, and all of those boxes went into the storage space. And I have to say, I would sometimes go and visit and just grieve, just cry over this lost opportunity. And I felt anger towards my partner, and I felt this grief of this not happening, and I felt this sadness, and yet I just couldn't let it go. The only way that I actually let it go is because we were moving across country. I couldn't move all this stuff. This was in California. I couldn't move all this stuff with me. Believe me, I've tried to figure out how to do it. But we had to let in my husband and a neighbor, and we got together and we released it. And I knew I was going to have to face going through and processing that grief, and that sadness, and the anger, and the lack of forgiveness. And so once that was released, when I came here, I worked with a spiritual coach and just turned it all around. Just forgiveness, and turned that whole idea of failure, was like this feeling of failure, turned it all around, and it felt like, God, it was absolutely such a beautiful thing to participate in, and I learned so many things that really serve me today. So now, maybe you don't have anything as dramatic as this, I hope not, when you go through your stuff. But just note that it could bring up some stuff. It could bring up some feelings. And, you want to allow yourself to go through that process. And if you need, some support going through that, then reach out, please. And I know that there are professional organizers who do this for a living. They support you doing the physical release, but also I know they are there to support the emotional release and allowing you to let go. So there is support. There is support. There is support for all of that. So again, remember that this is a process of untying those knots within ourselves and creating space, creating this opportunity to allow life energy to flow, allowing it to flow. As I've been working on this talk this week, I have started this process in some of my clothes. And, it's just like, what am I holding on to? I'm just going to let this go. And it felt so good, and I felt so much freer. I felt so much lighter. You know, if you've gone through this process, it just really feels so light and freeing, and the possibilities are there. Okay, if I could have the greeters come by and pass out the handouts this week. And your homework assignment is on there. There's a few ideas about how to approach this, and some space there that you can write, you know, how, you know, the process that you have gone internally in dealing with this. I'll let you know again that this every week I'm going to be giving you a handout, and I thought, wouldn't it be good if you had a little folder to keep all these handouts in? So Debbie and I are working on ordering these. We'll have them next week, so you'll have something that'll hold all of these handouts. Next week you'll have them. And you should have seven of them by the time. And if you missed last week, you go on the website, right? On our website, there's a link that you can click and download it, and there it is right there. Okay. So take a look at that, and then we're going to say our affirmation. All right. Let's take a deep breath together. And together. As I declutter, I release old ideas about myself and make way for new opportunities of increased good. And so it is. All right. Namaste. Hi, it's Reverend Victoria here. I'm at Unity Center of Peace with our house band, Bright Matter.
Hello.
Yeah, and if this video has inspired you or empowered you or opened your heart, opened your consciousness, or even just given you hope, we ask that you support what we're doing here by making a donation today, going to unitychapelhill.org or clicking the link below. And we thank you.
Thank
Thank you.